Welcome to another past HSC exam question videos. In this video we're going to cover this exam question which comes from the 2003 paper, and it's question number 27, and it's going to be worth 4 marks. So the question itself, I'll read out the question in a second. Once I've read the question, you have about 5 seconds to pause the video. Then once you pause the video, press play after you've attempted the question, and then we're going to go over the actual answer to the question. I've got the marking guidelines and I've got a sample answer, so hopefully I can break down the question for you. But the question itself is: old age is not a disease. Discuss difficulties in defining the terms health and disease. It's worth 4 marks. So when you're ready, pause the video and attempt the question. Welcome back. Right, so in this case, it says discuss. Discuss means we need to identify the issue. So identify the issue, and then provide points or arguments for and or against. Right, so you have to actually identify whatever the issue is and then provide arguments for or against. It sounds fancy, but all that really means is this, because the actual marking guideline says to get full marks, so 4 out of 4, we need to be able to provide a correct definition for both terms, so for both health and for disease. So provide the definition and then identify difficulties in defining terms, both those terms, right? So we need to give the general definitions for both those terms and then use those terms or those definitions and say, why are they not perfect? How can we get confused? So for example, remember the definition for health was complete physical, social, mental, and psychological well-being, right? That was the definition for health. And for disease, the definition was impaired function, or that some part of a body is impaired. So these definitions, if you provide those definitions, you will already get 2 marks, right? 1 for each of those. But you still have to actually give examples in terms of how these definitions are imperfect. So discuss the issues with these actual definitions. So for example, what I'll discuss in mine is that what is complete health? It says complete health or complete well-being, but what is that? So for you, for example, that might be something else than it would be for me. It's very subjective, right? We have different opinions as to what that could be. Also, because it says you need to have complete physical, social, mental, and psychological well-being, right? We have our mood swings on a daily basis sometimes, right? So that might mean that, for example, a person who has a bad mood might be unhealthy according to that definition, because we always need to have complete physical, social, and mental well-being. So it's suggesting almost that having a bad mood means you're unhealthy. And also another example of disease would be that the elderly, right, they might not have full function anymore in terms of their legs or their arms. They might walk a bit crooked. People in wheelchair often are immobile, right? But are those people diseased? Well, according to the definition, they would be, because they have impaired function. Basically, all of what I just said is what it would be in my answer, but I'll show you the answer itself. So what I wrote first was the definition. So the definition of health from the World Health Organization is a state of complete physical, psychological, mental, and social well-being. And one of the definitions of disease is a state which impairs any part of the body. So a state where any part of the body is impaired. That'd be a definition of disease, right? So these are our definitions. Remember, this would have been your 2 out of 4 so far. But you still need to give a reason why it could be difficult to find those 2. And first I'll talk about health. So difficulties arise when trying to interpret what is meant by complete well-being, as this can be very subjective, which means opinion driven, and can be different from person to person. The definition of health would also imply that any mood swings that can occur on a daily basis would change the person's state of health, right? Such as that will get you've now discussed the actual difficulties with health, the definition of health, now the definition of disease. So the definition of disease would imply that elderly or individuals in wheelchairs would be diseased, as they might have limbs that are no longer fully mobile and therefore impaired. Right? So are they diseased just because they are old or getting older or in wheelchairs? According to the definition, yes, but in reality, most people would say no. And because the example here is given is the old age example, it'd be generally good, even though you don't have to actually have it in your answer, but it'd be good to use that example as why disease is not actually, why it's hard to define disease. But if you didn't, that's fine as well. But where did the actual dot point or the question come from? So the question came directly from this dot point. You can see discuss the difficulties of defining the terms health and disease. And the question was discuss difficulties in defining the terms health and disease. So straight from your actual past paper, from your syllabus, sorry. But hopefully that was useful.